make sure you're unmuted. So with that, it's time to introduce Tony Khan, who will provide some opening thoughts, and then we're going to open the lines for questions. Good afternoon, Tony.
Good afternoon, Jim. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to talk to you. Very excited to chat about Supercard of Honor, and thank you all for joining us, and hopefully see a lot of you at the show tomorrow. Thanks for joining us for this call. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Tony. So here we go. We're going to start with Jim Barcelona from Miami Herald. And after Jim and Tony connect, Jason Paul from ProWrestling.net.
I'm up, Supercard of Honor.
He'll be next. Jim, you're up.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Tony. Hey, thanks to both of you. I know I want to talk about Supercard of Honor, Dalton Castle, incredible talent, but obviously I've got to ask just your thoughts of the CM Punk interview. I mean, one comment he made, he said you were a nice guy and not a boss. And I know you had a strong relationship with him, and I'm just curious if there's anything you could share just about your thoughts, if not the interview, just about CM Punk and this whole situation and just navigating through all this now. I know Adam Copeland had a really big, good speech last night on Dynamite, but I have to ask you just about all that.
No, I prefer not to talk about that. I think I'd really rather focus on the card and Supercard of Honor, but thanks for asking. I think I do appreciate you asking, and there's plenty of interesting things we could talk about here. Is there anything else you'd want to talk about, Jim?
They had unmute. Thank you for offering that. I do then. AEW's been growing. You guys have had some big moments, some really successful moments. You got Ring of Honor on board, and you also had some challenging moments. I'm curious, what did you learn about pro wrestling, the pro wrestling business, now that you're behind the curtain instead of in front of it? And thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Well, it's been about 5 years now. We're approaching 5 years since the launch of the company, and about 5 years ago at this time, we were finishing up our first ever TV deal and getting ready to launch our first ever event, the original Double or Nothing. It's crazy to think how much time has flown, and we'll be celebrating the 5-year anniversary next month in Las Vegas, where it all began at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. It's very surreal to think about, and so much has happened in the 5 years. I'm very grateful to everybody who's made it possible for the launch of AEW, as well as the purchase of ROH, and of great events like this weekend Supercard and the upcoming AEW Dynasty, and then, of course, our 5-year anniversary show in Las Vegas. A lot of things have changed here over that time. I've definitely learned a lot about the business, and I think in looking back, it's really amazing how much can happen in 5 years. You know, Sting's entire 3-year run is in the middle of this, and that's one of the most important things to me in my lifetime in wrestling, to me personally. And going back just as a fan, it's one of the greatest things I've seen in wrestling, and that I was able to work on it and be there and be a part of it. It's really special to me. And so in our 5 years, it's amazing to think that within our 5 years, I mean, there was some great things in AEW before Sting. We've done some great things since Revolution, but really, to me, that was probably the highlight of the whole thing, that 3 years. And now, looking at what we're doing and where we're at, I think we have the best roster in wrestling, and I really believe AEW is where the best wrestle. And AEW and ROH working together, complementary promotions. I think this is going to be a great event, Supercard of Honor, and we've got another episode of ROH TV tonight. The go-home show is tonight on WatchROH.com, and I think we're going to be in a great position to have a great show tomorrow at Supercard. So thanks for asking, Jim. It's been a great 5 years in wrestling so far, and I'm really excited about the 5-year anniversary coming up soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Jim. As always, you've always been a great attendee here on these calls. Jason,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Jason Powell from ProWrestling.net is next, followed by Bill Pritchard from WrestleZone. Jason?
Hey, Tony, you made a round of talent cuts on Monday, including some wrestlers who work for Ring of Honor, and it seems to go against what you said previously about releasing wrestlers as opposed to honoring the full length of their contracts. Can you talk about that change in philosophy? And also, was this the end of that round of talent cuts?
I am very, very proud of the AEW roster. We have a great group of women and men and a lot of great talent working in ROH. Anytime we have to let someone go, it's a tough call. We've expanded the company greatly this year, and I can tell you that I can definitely plan to continue this expansion. I think we've built the best roster in wrestling, and I have no intention of stopping. I am going to keep the foot on the gas pedal. We're going to keep going after top talent, and to do so, we need a war chest, and it's important to keep an eye on the budget. I definitely value the people who work here, and anytime you have to make a cut, it's a very tough call, and these are fluid situations. They're all different from each other. As an example, one of the things that has come up is Anthony Henry. Is somebody who's done great work in ROH. I really like Anthony and his team, the Workhorsemen. Anthony got injured on an independent show. I do think when our wrestlers, there's a double-edged sword here. When we book independent shows, injuries can happen, and there's a risk to that, and they can affect the wrestler's career. And frankly, here in AEW, it changes our plans, or in ROH, it can change our plans when the talent get injured here, and by the same token, it changes our plans when people get injured on the outside. And anytime anybody gets injured here, I feel responsible. When it happens on the independents, it's a challenging gray area. I've had a little bit of time to reflect and think about it. Anthony's going to be healing up soon, and I've thought about it, and Anthony's going to come back to AEW and ROH when he's cleared, which is going to be pretty soon, and I think we've worked something good out. So I'd like to have Anthony back in AEW, ROH, and I think these are all fluid situations. In some ways, it was me trying to make changes to the budget. I'm actually expanding our budget this year, growing it, but to do so, I did have to make some cuts because we're growing the company a lot this year, and I am going to be very aggressive when it comes to the big name free agents for the rest of the year, as we already have been in the first quarter of the year, adding big names like Kazuchika Okada, Mercedes Moné, and Will Ospreay. And I think that these are all different situations. It's possible that I think everybody there has great things to offer, and it's possible you may see some of them back here. And in the case of Anthony Henry, when he's healed up, you will see him back here. So thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Bill Pritchard from WrestleZone will be next, followed by Samantha Shipman from the Daily DDT. Bill?
Hello?
You're good, Bill.
Ah, okay. Hey, Tony, how you doing?
Very well. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I know you just addressed all the different cuts being fluid, but specifically wanted to ask about the boys being cut, because they were involved in one of the top storylines on Ring of Honor TV, and just wanted to see if you could expand on what happened with them, or how you're dealing with potential changes to that storyline moving forward.
These are all very different situations. I think Dalton and Johnny have been very creative. I really enjoyed Dalton and Johnny working together, and it came at a time after Dalton had lost custody of the boys on ROH TV. The rivalry between Dalton and Johnny has been tremendous, and I'm really looking forward to the fight without honor. to be honest, I really like these calls. I like talking to you, and when I can be honest, I'll be honest. They didn't show up for work on more than one occasion, and it's not acceptable. And I think the whole locker room knew about it, and you can't do that. And that's it. And that's why I had to make a tough call.
Thank you, Bill. Samantha Shipman from Daily DDT will be next, followed by Amy Nemedy from WrestleJoy. Samantha.
Hello?
Hey,
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Okay, sorry, it was the delay on my end. Thanks for speaking with us today, Tony. And you've pretty much answered some of the questions that I had, but you've talked about obviously wanting to add more top talent and keep your foot on the gas, obviously. Can you give a ballpark about how many wrestlers are under contract with AEW and ROH, and are they still kind of like the tiered contracts that there were in the beginning?
We have a very deep roster, and it is similar where there are people on largely weekly deals. There are some people that are on per appearance deals, and it has, I think, it's fair to say when we added ROH, we added more talent, and adding Collision, when we expanded the AEW television from 3 hours a week to 5 hours a week, we wanted to grow the roster, and I'm very excited about the potential for where we'll be at the end of 2024. I can already feel, it's funny, I wasn't expecting a blizzard in April, but that's what we got last night in New England, and it was pretty scenic and lovely, and it's not exactly reminding me of spring weather, but it's funny because I feel like I can look out the window at the snow and already be thinking about the holiday season. We're, over 8 months away from Christmas and the Continental Classic and the holiday season, but I'm very excited to see where we end up, and I think we'll have a great chance to expand the roster. I think there'll be great men and women out there the rest of the year, and we want to continue being aggressive and building the best roster we can, and I'm very excited about it, and I really believe AEW is where the best wrestle is very true, and I think we have the best roster in pro wrestling right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samantha. Amy Nemedy from WrestleJoy is next, and I'm going to follow that with a write-in question from Aruna Ghoshal from Sportskeeda. Amy.
About the Supercard of Honor show itself. So I'm looking at where it's taking place in Philadelphia, and I think it's worth noting that this is where Ring of Honor itself was founded initially, 22 years ago. And when I look at this card, I see Mark Briscoe, and I see Athena, and I see, both the World Television Championship, and I see the inaugural Women's Television Championship. It really does a good job of showing what Ring of Honor is now. And I think that's really poignant in and of itself. Another anniversary, though, comes with one of those matches, which is Athena and Hikaru Shida. Athena is 48-0, undefeated in Ring of Honor singles matches since she became ROH Women's World Champion in December of 2022. Hikaru Shida is, of course, three-time Women's World Champion with AEW, warrior with a kendo stick, and the only woman thus far to sort of break that confidence of Athena, who has shaped this new era of Ring of Honor around her. They have met one time in singles matches 10 years ago in Shimmer, where Shida defeated Athena. I'd like you to talk about Athena in Ring of Honor and how she's sort of built the women's division around her, how that's taken off with her at the helm, and the stakes of this match heading into it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wow. Well, I was just talking about the holiday season, going back a few years to Christmas 2022. It's been a long time. Athena's been the world champion in ROH, and Athena's just a tremendous champion. And I think the things we've done in ROH have been tremendous. I look back to last summer. I have very fond memories working with Athena and Billy and developing the Minion story that has become such a huge part of ROH and has become so closely identified with Athena and Billy Stark and Lex Air, who all do such a fantastic job on ROH TV. I really like working with Athena and Billy and Lexi. So it's very fitting that we have these great championship matches, and you have Athena and Billy both competing in big championship matches. I think Athena versus Shida is a great world championship match, and I think Billy Starks versus Queen Aminata is a great world television championship match. And as for what you said about this is a great example of what